So today we are going to speak to one of our successful students, Darren, who's been able to scale to 10K months as a remote high ticket closer. Darren started his journey with the same model a lot of us try, social media marketing. It's one that I tried and I done well at the start, but it was always going feast to famine. I was always getting a lot of clients, then doing the work and losing clients, and it was the same story with Darren. He was struggling to actually get the freedom he was looking for with that model. So he decided to get into high ticket closing to make some money on the side, exactly like me. But then he found it was a much better vehicle to give him that freedom. And he's been able to scale up to 10K months now as a remote closer. So we're going to go through Darren's story today, how he started in sales, how he struggled to really get any fulfillment, anything that he deserved. Again, much like myself, but we're going to go through his journey today and how he ended up where he did today. So enjoy this one. We're now going to go through. I think we are in. There we go. So as we were just talking about, mate, it's nice to catch up properly. I wanted to just have this, proper catch up, proper breakdown. I think you've had a really great story through over the last year because it's a very challenging thing to be successful as an online entrepreneur. I don't know many people who have had success with their first thing that they've tried. I think that's what we got on so well, when you start to look into this stuff, knowing that I'd had a very similar journey, I tried the drop shipping, tried the trading, and then it was agency, which you were currently running. And then the closing being the only thing that really helped me out. So,
Yeah,
it's really good to see. But yeah, just, over the last year, we've just kind of hit this point now where we've now hit a 5-figure month. We've done 10K as a closer. We've now basically done everything that we came here to do, and
yeah,
we've dealt with a lot of stuff. Like it's been a challenge, but yeah, like knowing that you've been able to do everything that you wanted to do, and put yourself on that path that you said you wanted to put yourself onto. It is so amazing to see. So I thought it'd be nice for, just for people to hear what the journey looked like for you. I mean, because you were in sales before this, weren't you?
I was in sales. Yeah, I lived in the US for 2 years where I kind of
But
started my sales journey then.
but that
Uh,
was like, so you'd already lived the dream of a lot of salespeople, especially people in the UK who, would see someone like yourself who's been moved to America to do sales at a high level, and
yeah,
yeah, like it's sometimes just isn't cracked up to what you
yeah,
did,
no,
right?
100%. Well, the thing is, I ideally wanted to remain in the US, but I had some visa restrictions, so I had to try and take that sales experience that I had and try and utilize it to the best way I could back in Europe. Which I had some challenges. Then I moved to Switzerland, worked in an account management sales role there, completely different environment, atmosphere, culture. That was just a shock to me at the time. So I ended up moving there to Barcelona. Then I started my agency with my best friend. I had a huge amount of challenges there as well, and that's actually when I met you to pick up something supplementary, use my sales skills to kind of help myself or dig myself out of the situation. And yeah, just previously as we were speaking there, I remember when we had that call and I was just bottom of the barrel at this point, like finances. I was a leaking bucket.
Yeah.
I had a lot of uncertainty about my position in Barcelona. And I remember after, like during the call with you, like we had a great discussion. I really appreciated that discussion as well because it didn't feel like a sales call at all, to be completely honest, because as you just mentioned, you'd experienced a lot what I'd experienced already. And I think that resonated with me a lot in the fact that we were kind of on the same wavelength. It just made it clear that the best decision was to go with you and the group, because
Yeah.
I had other individuals in the space who also have academies, but I don't know, I guess with that call or just from the video content that you put up, I was like, yeah, this guy knows what he's on about. He's learned through trial and error, and like
Yeah.
kind of, what led me to Close Pro. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate.
But I think, something that I'm always very strict about is you learn from someone who's done. I never say things without showing you that I've either done them or show you that I will do them. So like a big part of obviously the training is watching my live sales calls that I've done before. And I think you'll agree that a lot of my sales calls are like that as well.
Yeah,
That
100.
it's not over the top forceful selling.
Mm,
You really need to be able to connect to people. And as we were talking about earlier, you've had to deal with so much this year and you've still pushed through. You've still kind of hit a 10K month as a closer. You've still been like doing the agent. I'm sure the agency, even though it probably didn't pan out to the level that you wanted to, because obviously the struggles that a lot of people come on with these agencies and these businesses is there's so much to do. Scaling is so difficult. You really don't appreciate that, but. Even that, the level that you've got to, I'm sure there was a previous version of you that didn't think you'd even get there.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy that you just said previous that like it was probably 1 year ago since maybe like 1 year and 2 months ago. But like even this time last year, I remember I was what was I on my like fourth role play with you to try and finish?
Well, that's a funny thing. Is I always say, it's so hard to because you obviously had great sales experience, and sometimes it's so difficult to talk to people with experience and tell them why they need to go through coaching to do well at high ticket. And I love I love the example of yourself, like how many times we had to drill stuff down before we even were like past the training and ready
I
to
don't even think I passed, man.
we did. We got there in the end. We done a lot of practice to get to that point. But
Yeah.
like what was the difference between your expectation of how much you'd come into this and do really well and how like maybe difficult it was at times?
Um, yeah, I think when I first signed up, I didn't think it was going to be that much of an uphill battle for myself. But yeah, it's obviously a completely different way of selling and speaking to another individual when the expectation is that you're getting their credit card at the end of the hour
Yeah.
mark. So I backed myself definitely just because I had been through challenges already, but I de I
Yeah,
definitely
I just remembered. On one of your role plays, can you remember the story you tried to tell? Oh, so yeah, just for context, something I always advocate is, using stories relating to people. And I had a role play with someone else, and they used this story about how they tried to do a drop shipping business and they ordered loads of baby products to sell. And then they tried to launch the business and then realized that three other people had basically had the same idea, and then his products weren't selling, and how he had an apartment full of baby toys for 6 months. And then I get on a role play with you to a very butchered version of that story. It's like, and then I gave up on it halfway through. Oh, let me tell you, I had these baby toys once, and I had them in an apartment because I had a business, and then I think I had a friend who wanted to buy them, and oh, actually, don't worry.
yeah, I was like, don't worry. Yeah.
Uh, but the exact thing, you can't fake this shit. Like
You
you
can't
have to be
fake
you, and like I said to you earlier, like all the stuff that you've gone through, as hard as it is, it will just make you a better, not even like salesman, because that makes it seem like it's manipulating, a hard time. But it is when you have that honest connection
Yeah, exactly.
and when you've lived so many experiences, you can connect to more people. The
Yeah,
reason that we had a good call, but you watch my live sales calls, I can connect to so many people. Because I've had such a wild story. Like
yeah,
that, I've failed so many times at so many different things in so many areas of life. It's not even like one thing, but there's not many people I can't relate to or empathize with.
yeah, and that's what I found with Affluent as well. Like, the more I can be myself, the more success that I get. Because at the end of the call, I even sometimes they say it. It's like it's really refreshing to just have a conversation with someone that cares and not trying to like put me into a corner to
Yeah.
try to buy or try to invest. And like once I kind of cracked that of like being myself, because that was the issue when I was trying to pass a role play. It's like you're not being yourself, you're being someone else. But once I kind of figured that out, then everything else kind of it was smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, but like it's an annoying industry. The more time goes on, the more there's people trying to draw people into this.
Yeah.
with the dream selling. Because again, like as we speak about a model like this versus something like agency, we've both lived it and so many other people have. Of if you compare it, yeah, it is easy. Like you compare you making 10K, you keep 10K. And with an agency, you've got partners or developer or whatever it is. So the level, like the amount of effort it takes to get to that level in both models, one is extremely more difficult than the other. But you
Mm.
can't then say that closing is easy. You still have to work hard.
Yeah.
You still have to put yourself. And like the thing that aggravates me is because I'll obviously in the industry, I'll get targeted with ads. People like, I'll guarantee you 10K in 3 months. And it's like, you can't.
No.
Everyone's journey is going to be different.
Mm.
And it's not about just giving someone a job. Like a lot of people are like, yeah, we'll place you straight into an offer. It's like, no. Like I said, like you obviously got connected with an offer through me, but I
Yeah.
didn't give you the offer. That you had to interview, you had to prove that you were the right person.
You made me work for that.
Yeah, of course. You had to show up and close deals from day one. This isn't a space where, like a normal sales job, where you have a manager or a supervisor who will watch over you for 3 months until you're ready to go off on your own. It's like if you can't close 1 in 10, you're off.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like you're not going to be on that offer. And I think a big perception that a lot of people miss is how much time, effort, and money it takes for an offer to deliver you with these warm sales calls. Like they probably average about $500 a call, like with
Yeah.
everything put in. So if you're not closing at least 1 in 10, then that business is losing money by you being there, and you're not going to stay there. It's not employed. You don't get sick pay, holiday pay, everything kind of given to you. You can't put bare minimum in. You've got to really be able to show up with that skill. So that's why I put you through the ringer,
Yeah.
before, because if I didn't, then you
Yeah.
would have lost that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. And I appreciated that as well. I thought that, maybe the speed of progression for me when I went back home to try and make this work. Like I thought I was going to come back to Barcelona after like 6, 7 weeks. I ended up being home for 6 months, but it was necessary. Like I just needed
Yeah.
to change the way I looked at this and my mindset when it comes to this new age of selling and being in a space where I could be coachable, because obviously living here, there's a lot of different distractions. But now I'm here and now I have the mindset, I have the skill set, so I'm able to continue living the life that I had before. So like that was the whole goal. And regardless of figures and like 6-figure months, like my goal was to get back to my life here. And thankfully I'm here, regardless of everything else.
Yeah, well, like we said, like life throws a lot of things your way as well. So if you're not willing to work hard at something to achieve the things that you want, then you're never going to get there because as well as working hard in the thing that you want to do, then life will throw something else your way, then something else your way, then something else your way. And it's like escaping that fallacy that everything is going to align. Like one
Mm.
day, like there's just going to be all this money delivered in your bank account. There's going to be no stresses in your life. There's going to be nothing distracting you. And like when you're in those moments, as you know, like sometimes you get more distracted when there's no distractions, when
Mm.
there's no other thing. When you're comfortable, that's usually when you do the worst.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
your
exactly.
back's against the wall and there's so much stuff going on, that's usually when you perform at your best. That's a strange thing, but it's
I
so.
almost wish it wasn't like that, like because I feel that as well. It's like I perform at my best, even in sport, when my back is against the wall. Like when I'm a favorite or when people have more confidence in me, that's when I start to fade a bit. I prefer just being the underdog. I don't know why that is, but it's just
Yeah,
what.
well, it's the same thing that you hear time and time again from professional fighters. I'm really big on the UFC and stuff like that, and it's always everyone says the same thing when they have that first loss. It's that sense of relief. It's
Mm,
that pressure off, and then they
mm.
can go back to enjoying it, and then they can go back to, but yeah, sometimes it's when everything's there. Like you don't enjoy it.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
And you don't take from it the very thing that you started. Like, you
Mm.
started to be free. You started because you wanted a better life to enjoy your life, and then there's so much stuff you have to take on.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, hey, why did I even do this in the first place?
yeah. So you just have to find other ways to push it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, you've come through on the other side. You've dealt with a lot of personal stuff. You're back to Barcelona. We're at the point that we want to be, and
Mm.
we've come through that as a more confident person, a better salesman, a better entrepreneur, and we know what lies ahead now. You know, like we're saying, one of the guys just posted the other day, you know, what was it, 27K in comms?
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
know there's still room to grow here.
There's room,
There's
yeah.
so much room to grow here, but it takes the same attitude that we come back at the start with.
Yeah.
You know, there's always going to be a grind to the next level and what we can do and what we can learn. And you know, the biggest thing is the guys who are doing 20, 30, 40K in the industry. You can't walk into those positions anymore. There's always going to be a very, very firm level, like first step as a closer you need to get to now. Because there's more and more people that, you know, those offers can attract. Before they might have taken a chance on someone who didn't necessarily have the specific experience they were looking for, but now there's enough people in this space that if you know you can give a closer 20K a month opportunity, you're not going to give it to anyone without very specific experience because you'll probably be. And if you can't, there's obviously a lot of recruiters now and things like that. But that's what we've tried to focus on is partnering with those people, those recruiters, those people who have good connections in the space at that higher level, you know, for guys like yourself, you know, who are coming down that. But I know that we're ready to take that next step up, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Well, so what was, what would you say the biggest challenge was for yourself about kind of getting to this point?
I think it was probably getting out of my own head,
Yeah.
and yeah, that took more time than I thought. But then again, there's probably deeper layers to that because I maybe carried some like people pleasing tendencies
Mm.
from my childhood, and I think you made me really realize that when I was confronted with you on role plays and like how you would talk about or how you would like, going through your course content material, I was like, Jesus, I've actually so much more that I need to face than I thought. And I think it might have been my too nicey attitude that was actually preventing me from growing and not having that authoritative stance or being firm
Yeah.
on calls with individuals that I needed to be firm with and not just for them to roll me over. Whereas maybe in the past, in real life, that was the case. So this is the reason it took 6 months and not 6 weeks, is because I had a lot to face myself
Yeah.
bringing into the sales calls.
Yes, it's probably one of the most common things that we go through with a lot of people is that there's not much challenge there. You know, the way I always say it now is I don't ever pitch someone unless I'm 80% confident they're going to go ahead.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're on a sales call and you just don't feel that that person's really in it.
Yeah.
Feel like they're in enough pain or they've got big enough problems or they're motivated or they're even serious enough about, you know, their kind of goals. And you're right, like sometimes you do fall into a habit of a bit of people pleasy. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to make them uncomfortable because you don't want to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if you're there to actually help them,
Yeah.
you need to challenge them. Because if that person was good enough to get to the position they want to get to by themselves without challenge, without guidance, they wouldn't even be on the call with you in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think another thing as well that like I know now, but I didn't at the start, is I was always like obsessed with like, oh, if they say this, I'll say that. But like that's not how you hold yourself, right? It's more you need to face your own self and your own discrepancies and your own weaknesses in order for you to put yourself in a better position on these calls to be able to spot their discrepancies.
Yeah.
And that's probably been one of the biggest things I've learned for the last year as well. So yeah, that's why it's been a long process, like because that takes time.
Yeah, but unless we can overcome it, then we're always going to kind of hit that wall.
Yeah.
So, and what would you say, like what was the most enjoyable thing that you found kind of throughout this process and working with us?
I think it was the sense of community. Like I made some really nice connections like with Seb, and there's a few
Yeah,
other that I was having role plays with, and like that helps as well because everyone is in the same. We all saw different circumstances, different conditions, and different reasons. But like ultimately, we were all kind of chasing the same thing and just having time, freedom, flexibility. And I think being part of a network of support also really helps aside from the actual direct mentorship.
Yeah.
it kind of helps you. It's like one tide raises all ships, right? And I think that's a very nice part of the community as well, is that other people were struggling with you. You know, like I'm a big fan of CrossFit, and the big reason I like it is because people struggle together, and that's what brings you closer.
Yeah.
It's kind of saying it's similar in this space.
Yeah. I like that, man. Yeah. That's basically my army career.
Yeah.
Lengthy struggle altogether. But you're right. Like you make the best connections when you go through struggles with people.
Yeah.
You find out who people are and what your relationship is with people through the struggle.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. What would you say to anyone who's anyone who's considering getting into this space?
I would say know what you want.
Mm.
Have a why that's big enough for you to go through the struggle. Otherwise, don't bother. My why was big enough for me to go through it. Like I told you on day one, I wanted to return to my life here because my life was not at home. So this was a huge driver for me to make this work because the other alternative was unhappiness, you know? So I think you need a big driver, you need a big why, because otherwise it's going to be a very, very difficult road and probably not worth it. So you need to understand what you want as an individual, what you want as a person. And then by all means, I absolutely recommend everything from the process that I went through to get me to this point. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
you're
for
right.
everyone.
Why you can tackle anyhow.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. And you say
No.
that yourself. You say that yourself, you know, so
Yeah.
um that would be the biggest thing, I would say.
Yeah, it's the misconception of this is a quick and easy route, and if
Yeah.
you just do it for the result, and you don't think you don't think about the how you get that result. At the end of the day, this is sales. If you're not
Yeah.
willing to pour a lot of energy to become highly skilled in sales, then you shouldn't try and be an expert salesperson. Like it is mad when you kind of strip it down to its simplicity, but it's often the biggest thing that's overlooked. Knowing my side, I never done a model because I thought I'd be good at the model. I done a model because I wanted the rewards.
Mm,
Wanted to do, I wanted to not work for anyone, which is why I started a dropshipping company. I wanted to earn money, which is why I tried to trade. I wanted to do both of those things, and that's why I started the agency. And I became a closer before high ticket closing was even a thing.
mm,
I did it because it was, it was a good use of my skill, and the rewards were in line as well. But the only reason I excelled in it because I focused more on the skill set than anything else.
mm,
And then when I was in it and I found that, hey, I'm actually enjoying taking sales calls a lot more than I'm enjoying trying to build a website or run ads. Maybe I should focus more on this.
yeah.
And it's quite nice when all the money you earn is yours. You don't have to pay
Yeah,
like
exactly.
cost to this person, cost for that, cost for this. So yeah, 100%. Well, mate, I really appreciate, the catch up, really going through properly. I think it's a nice journey to follow. And I'm looking forward to the next steps.
Yeah, so many, so
Roll on
many.
20K months.
There we go. There we go.
All right. Appreciate you, man.
Cool. Thanks, Connor.